Good evening, Dr. Abiola.
Yeah, good evening. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you for being here. Good evening, Alfred.
Good evening, Angela. It's good to be here.
Bonsoir, bonsoir. Greetings from West and Central Africa. We're recording this conversation from the beautiful coast of Lasamun. And we just wanted to have a conversation because we've been together for a few days and we wanted to really talk about digital violence and how it's impacting women's rights organizations, what they're doing, how can we effectively reclaim the digital streets. And so I'm Angela. It's really a pleasure to welcome you both, to those listening and those who will listen. And really, it's an honor to be joined by such phenomenal women's rights organizations. Women Advocates Research and Documentation Center, WARDC, Dr. Abiola, and Helping Our People Excel, Alfred. So without delaying, I think we can get right into it. My first question for you both is, we hear a lot about digital violence, and sometimes we don't really understand the terms, but we know it exists. We've seen the manifestations. We've heard of different forms, revenge porn, etc. But for you, as women's rights organizations, what does digital violence look like in practice, and why is it considered a form of gender-based violence? I can start with Doc.
All right, thank you very much. I'm Dr. Abiola Akiyode Afolabi, working with Women Advocates Research and Documentation Center. We're based in Lagos, but we also run projects across Africa. Digital violence against women and girls, which is also popularly known as technology-facilitated violence against women and girls. It's an emerging form of violence. It's been there for a while since technology became an order of the day. However, it was not being seen from a gender perspective or up until recently, when it became an emerging form that we then realized that it's been affecting a lot of women who had chosen not to speak out, despite the kind of bullying. Then we started seeing people committing suicide, because someone is going to put their, pictures online. So, and they came in different form. It's fakes, there's doxing, there's trolling, there's cyberbullying for women, and sextortion also happen, when they pick your picture and then they ask you to come and pay, to pay them so that they don't, put the picture online. And because we know that Africa has a huge population of young women, so it also became their site. Whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on TikTok, whether you're on WhatsApp, Instagram, Telegram, X, and all of that. So what we then see is a transition, of gender-based violence from physical, to online, and then it then made it difficult for women. So we see a lot of shutting down online. We see a lot of women not wanting to speak, you want to close down your Facebook account because it has been encroached. And we also see, a lot of people using that as a way, of threatening and also shutting women's voices down. So it's a dignity issue. So it's really a big issue, and it's just emerging, and that's why it's important. And the 16 Days Activism coming up, it's also focusing on that there's a need for us to step back and reflect on how do we deal with the violence that we're suffering as women on online.
No, thank you so much for that, Doc, and for really just highlighting some of the different ways in which it manifests. Alfred, does that resonate with you? Have you seen in your practice, experiences of that?
Good afternoon, Angela. My name is Alfred, and I work for Helping Our People Excel. HOPE is a women's rights organization that was established in 2010 with the mission to promote the economic and the social and educational empowerment of women and girls. And as an organization that deals with primarily women and girls, we've seen tech violence, and I'll just focus on when it comes to education, the effects. That there have been lots of issues around tech violence where it affects the girls from going to school, and as a country or as a region that is advocating for girls' education, it brings us back to where girls are, once their videos get out, they get threatened, they shut down, they don't go to school, and as a result, it affects their school. They don't focus on campus. They are mentally unstable, and that in a way really stop their future, because if you're not educated, you're not going to school, you shut yourself off, you are indoor, it deprives you of a lot of things. And so we've seen it, we've had incidences where girls were violated, and their pictures were posted by their peers, and the schools are now really equipped to address these issues, and as a result, they don't know how to do it because they haven't been aware of it. And so there's a real urgent need to create the awareness, the education of schools and parents and teachers, even the girls themselves, to know how do they go about ensuring that they are protected, and that the school can also ensure that they are safe while they go to school.
Yeah, and I think that's so true, because the reality is, Doc, as you mentioned, more of us are now on digital platforms, and it's cutting across different ages, on different mediums, etc. And young people, we can't even, not even just young people, but children, we can't even hide technology from them. So they're on those spaces, and I like what you highlighted, that it's not just the impact directly, which of course is extremely important, but it's also in the long term. How does that hamper your voice? How does that hamper your access to economic opportunities, etc.? So I would love for you both to touch on some of that, your own reflections on that impact on, the individual, but also on women's rights, and also their ability to engage in the civic and political spaces. Because part of why we're having this conversation is we're looking at being in a situation of growing pushback and shrinking civic spaces. So again, what is that impact on the individual, but really also on women's rights in the civic space as well?
For individual, of course, it reduces your ability to voice and participation. The social media is where everybody is. There's a lot of talk about algorithm. There's a lot of talk about issues, It has become a space for mobilization. The NSAS in Nigeria was done online. So it's a place where we can mobilize, and a place where you can change norms, change the way people think, and all of that. So everybody's going. And it's also a marketplace. So it's a place for business. So women are also going there, to do their businesses, to market their product and all of that. So if we allow that space, to be exploited for violence, against women, it will then become a space that they don't want to be. And so what you then see is it's going to be general imbalance in the society economically. There will be growth on the other side, and women will remain, where they are. And it's also a place for mobilization, to bring people together on a particular theme. The Me Too movement was basically, mobilized on the social media. And it became a movement that has defined issues of sexual harassment and exploitation, in all over the world. People can send you messages. I've gotten several messages, from X to say, I need to solve a particular problem. Please, can you tell me, and all of that. So what would also happen is that organizations will not be able to use the internet, and because there are apps now that you can also press to get safety and, information, resources, and also to get into safety. So what that will be is also that it will impact our work in meeting more people. It's easier if I put something online today, it can reach, and in terms of our advocacy, it can reach 1 million people. Even if I don't pay to promote it, it can reach 1 million people within 3 hours. There's no way I can invite 1 million people to speak with them at the same time. So the effect is huge, and that's why we cannot but ensure that we're part, and parcel of that process, where such advantages for our advocacy. So for organization, yes, they can also assist our advocacy, make our work easier in terms of deconstructing norms, the dismantling patriarchy. So and that's why we cannot afford as men and not to be there. So the impact is much. It's social, it's political, it's economical, for women to be, online.
No, 100%. And even just in terms of regional solidarity, I mean, what do you think, Alfred?
I think regionally we can leverage a space where we are able to connect. Like take for instance, we are here today, and we are doing this video, and then we have to share with our colleagues that are not here. It reaches a long space. If it's able to carry the message that I may not be able to carry because I can be everywhere at the same time. So just imagine if this video reached to a young woman who had no prior understanding of what it means to be abuse online, and she takes piece it up, listen to it, and say, "Oh, I didn't know this was an issue." It goes a long way into fighting the same disease that we are trying to stop. And so regionally, we all can ensure that the space is free, so that we can be able to share ideas, be able to reach people. But we need to do more, because it's not just a crime against the girl, but it also stops her from doing engaging in politics, for example. Because they see you, for example, if I'm running for office and I'm sure of winning, there will be incidences where my opposition girls get to say, okay, let's see how I can get this, and then get a video of me or put my face on a video and share it. It stops me. Mentally, it disturbs me. I won't be able to take part into politics. What happens? I lose my focus, and then those people that are depending on me as an example for them, I cannot lead them anymore because I'm not mentally stable. I'm confused. I'm discouraged, and as a result, some of the people will just fall off and say, "Okay, I don't want to take it. I can do this. I'm done." And so it's a threat to us, and we have to ensure that there's safety online for us, for our girls, for our women, to ensure that they can access economic opportunities. Now we have TikTok. There are videos we make and make money and get paid. So what if I'm not there? I'm using that place of the space to make money, and then I'm being abused. I shut down. I don't have money to continue my work, or to go to school, or to feed myself. And so we have to ensure that the space is really safe for us to ensure.
And I think it was actually both of you earlier on, talking about the fact that for women's rights organizations, in as much as you're doing this out of, your conviction and your passion, this is actually also where you do your work. This is where you also reach your communities. So that, what's that, impact looking like for you? And as part of this program, I know that Hope and WARDC are both part of the Advocacy, Coalition Building and Transformative Feminist Action Program, led by UN Women in collaboration with the European Commission and the UN Trust Fund. My question is really just twofold. Are there any stories that have just touched you in the way that you're saying, no, we have to really get technology on our side, or we really cannot run away from technology, or we really need to address this digital violence? That's the first question. And the second is then, from that point, what strategies then can women's rights organizations adopt to continue being in that space? I'll start with you, Doc.
I need to say that the UN Trust Fund has actually, the ACTS project generally, has actually been a blessing, to Africa, because of the way that the discussion started actually from some of the grantees that they have. I've got asking questions around, technology for facilitated violence, and also taking steps to provide digital training, to key, particularly young women, in the society, and also, supporting the first research, which is a training manual or that people can use, is very simple, to understand, to get a basic understanding of what the technology fastest owners, means, and how people can protect themselves, how can they start the right, because information is power. If you don't have the information, you won't know what to do. And also conducting a research across Africa to find out what is the excess, what does this mean to African women, and how can deal with it. And so coming on the other perspective, also showing the lack of knowledge, in this area, and also showing the laws and policies that are failing, to protect women and what women need to do, to take steps. So the UN Trust Fund has really invested so much, and it's interesting that this is also coming up as 16 Days Activism. Now, having said that, so what strategies, what else do we need to do? There is a lot that we need to do. Everything is with technology. There are 3 or 4 things that will determine the future. Young people, women, technology. So we cannot be excluded from those things. So as women, it's important for us to embrace. So there is a need for us to begin with digital literacy, a massive one, to try as much as possible. So, and that's why I congratulate UN for starting the AI school. There are also other organizations that are working on FMI, so Feminist AI, and all of that. We need quite a lot of that. We need to get that knowledge. We need to be there. We need to be there before the patriarchists get there. As it is now, everybody's still trying to find their fate, to understand technology the way it works, and to see how they can use it to their benefit. So we are not coming too late, but we shouldn't come late, to the markets, because there are political economy discussion here. People are making money online. There are people who are owners, of WhatsApp, TikTok, there is also the accountability mechanism around this. They must be made to account for the suffering that, people, are going through, online. So the tech private sector must also be accountable, and women must also hold them accountable, for what they are suffering, on the internet. So there is a need for training. There's a need for digital, training in this regard, where women, young people, and we must also ensure that the algorithm has our issues as African women. The way it is now, it's not listening to us. It's not speaking our language. So we must also tone that language in such a manner that language will understand our own issues and understand the intersectionality and the fact that, women are not homogeneous, that we are at different levels, and so the technology must be able to meet us, at our different rates. So those are some of the strategies. We need to have mass gathering, understanding ourselves, webinar, and a whole lot of other things to make this happen.
Yeah, just to take you from what Dot said. So for strategies, I think one of the things we can do is to enhance feminist solidarity, because if we come together as a group to say this is a serious issue for women and girls, and we go regionally, globally, and create the necessary awareness and engage our governments to ensure that there are laws and policies that they can develop to protect women and girls, and ensure that we co-create together, not just states that do this, but ensuring that women are at the table, because we know how these things affect us. We co-create, we do mass awareness, mass solidarity online, but also reach across the eye, regionally, do research at Advocacy, do research is funnel. How is it working in Ghana, Liberia, Sierra Leone, and then come together and go at these different regional platforms, and ensure that you amplify a voice, the voices of women. Say, hey, you, ECOWAS, these are things that the women need to do. These are things that are affecting our generation. I have 2 girls. What if one of them get abused because they are not aware of these things? What if one of them get abused? So now that I have the chance and the idea, how do I engage to show that schools are are aware of these things. And there are services and things put in place to ensure that when these things happen, how do we ensure that girls' safety comes first, and ensure that there are laws put in place to ensure that these things does not happen again, and then ensure that everything else that we do, we put the rights of women and girls first. And the other thing we can do is partner with as that said, partner with our male counterparts. Because for me, I don't think working in silos just between us will work. There are male dads, there are men who are he for she's who understand they can serve as allies too. So not just doing it by ourselves, but ensure that we are bringing the men along to show that okay, this is what is doing and these things have been done. Trust me, some of the violence that are taking place online, there are women also that are doing it to their friend women. And there are men that are doing this too. So bring people together and say, okay, let's discuss how can we ensure that these things that are happening, how can we take steps to ensure that we protect women and girls from violence online.
And we will continue these conversations in different spaces. But it got me thinking about the manosphere and how you mentioned having male allies on board, but also understanding about who's building the technology as well, and what kind of society is it replicating. And the fact that, like you rightly said, just in the world as well, there are women who are perpetrating harmful, sexist, patriarchal narratives that are keeping the movement down. So I'm just wondering, Doc, do you have any thoughts on the manosphere and this what goes on there that encourages young men, especially vulnerable young men, to take on this persona and really perpetrate harmful narratives? I loved what you said about how we need more fem AI, how we need like fembots. For every bot that is coming to attack a feminist, we need a counter bot. So I'm just wondering if you have any reflections on that and deconstructing that space, that sphere.
Yeah, it's important, because this is also coming at a time when there's a lot of conversation about STEM, and there's a lot of encouragement for young women to be part of technology, science, because we have realized over time that there's been that depth of women, in science, understanding. But you see, science is one thing. The other thing is also the fact that every young child has a phone, so they start with Nintendo, they start with those games and all of that, and so it's not seen as a space for men, anymore. So gradually, it's changing. So what we then need to do is to encourage more young women to embrace technology, open it up, dissect it, and then begin to look at how can we use it. And the good thing about the funding space also is the fact that, there seems to be, for every call that is made, there is a need to bring intersectionalism into it, and that is gradually intersectionality, and that is gradually bringing people to begin to look at, the gender aspect of whatever, is being done. So that would help, in creating that space. And, there is coding, there are a lot of things that people do now, to bring children to understand, technology the more. And I think that that's what, young women need to do more. Young girls from secondary school, like boot camp on digital space. I know that part of what we did under the UNCF project, is to bring teenagers during the holiday, together to let them understand, tech, what does it mean and why they also need to be protected. There are things as simple as, your basic protection on the internet, that people should know, as they go. So if we begin to enter into that space that way, it would definitely take over. So we should have a goal, that this space cannot be a space where we want to say we came late, because everybody came late.
Everyone came,
both men and women, so we can be later. So it's important for us to begin to design strategy, how women, would also be able to take over that space, and they will come late, because we have already taken over the place. And that's why the intergenerational aspect of it is important. Because for younger ones, so the data had shown that older ones are more on WhatsApp, Facebook, whereas the younger one are more on Instagram, TikTok, and a lot of new ones are coming, Snapchat. I was asking which one is Snapchat again, So there seems to be, a lot that are happening at their own end. And there are also young people creating, new apps, new apps. So the knowledge is so huge, because every one of us are taking to get to time when technology is going to direct the entire people. And that is why we can't wait and we cannot be illiterate, to those. So we must also think about the women in the community, the women who are not as educated as we are. Now people use their voice notes. They use voice notes. People train their parents, 80-year-old, 90-year-old, on how to talk to them. Presidents use a voice note. We need to bring it down to the level, of where we are. And those are the things we need to do. Thank you.
No, fantastic. Thank you both so much for, such a rich discussion. What I was hearing was that we need more tech that speaks our language. We need FemAI, we need algorithms that speak and promote feminist values. And what are feminist values? That women and men should have equal opportunity, equal social opportunities, and that we shouldn't be discriminated on the basis of our sex or of our gender. I'm hearing that we need tech that is intersectional, intergenerational. We need governments and also institutions and the tech companies to be accountable. That's it, exactly. And the last thing for me was that the digital space is not homogeneous as well. So how can we make it different? So I don't want to have the last word. So I'm going to leave you both with just your last reflection after this really rich conversation. Let me start with you, Alfreda.
Thank you, Angela, for having me. And so, we cannot sit back and see our next generation or even ourselves right now, because there are other women who are being abused online. There's a need to create the awareness, to create the training, and hold government accountable. I'm glad that my country has developed, and they have signed or anti a law around cyber crimes. And so, but what we want to see going forward is to show that law is implemented, because there's one thing to develop a law and another thing to implement it. And so once these things can be done, and we can have our girls empowered, they are trained and understand how to go about using the space, I think we can go a long way in saving women and girls from abuse online. So thank you for having me, and we happy 16 days.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Angela. It's a pleasure to be here. This is a very wonderful discussion. My last word is technology must be equitable, it must be fair, it must be equal, it must be gendered, and it must contribute to development and growth in a manner that would support both men and women as we go along in the course of this society. So we cannot have technology that would discriminate or make life, difficult, for the other person. So we must all work towards ensuring, and that's why the 16 days resonates. We must be united. And when we talk about united, both men and women, to end technology-facilitated violence against women and girls. Thank you.